Hopefully this huge crowd can hear me. Thank you for staying. No one can leave for the next 20 minutes. So I'm Andrew Bolwell with HP, and I thought rather than tell you what I do, I tell you a couple of things that I believe. And the first thing I believe is that a single individual or a small group of people can really do amazing things. I mean, change the world things. And the second thing I believe is that, is that to change the world or to make your idea happen or really just to do anything successfully, you've really got to believe you can, right? And you've got to be passionate about what you do. So my passion is working on things that are either new to world or new to HP, and that's what I do every day. And it's also the general theme of what I'd like to talk with you about today as well. So do you guys remember when you felt like this? Yeah, you know, as a kid, everything was possible, right? And you didn't doubt yourself, whether that was setting up a lemonade stand or whether it was heading out on the weekend to wash cars like I did growing up. But then you get older, things change, and more you start to feel like this. Sure, none of you guys ever feel like this. So what does happen? What changes? Well, maybe we don't have the opportunity to pursue those skills that we were passionate about. Or maybe we don't have access to the tools and technologies that we need. Or maybe we just start listening to all those people around us that tell us why we can't do something or why we shouldn't do something. Or hey, maybe we just get caught up with other things, family, other social responsibilities, and we just lose track of time. But of course, that doesn't happen to everybody. I mean, here's a couple of my favorites, people who have been able to continue to build bigger and better lemonade stands. But of course, you don't have to be famous or well-known to have made it through to the other side. I mean, I think we all know people we work with or we hang out with that have this incredible can-do attitude still. When you step back and look at what these people have in common, I think there's a couple of things. First off, for whatever reason, these folks have an uncanny knack to be able to spot a problem that no one else has spotted before, or to come up with an answer that no one else has come up with before. And they're incredibly persistent. They don't give up when they fail. They take failure and learn from it. And maybe there's a little spark of something else. You might call it luck, or maybe it's just an uncanny sense of timing to be working on the right problem at the right time. But for me, more than maybe any of these things, I think there's just something else. You know, I call it the maker spirit. It's more of an attitude, really, than anything else. It's really belief that you can change the world, a belief if you just keep going at it, you will make it through to the other side. A belief that everything is possible. And I think the other thing that's changed around us today is all of the tools and technologies that we need to be a successful maker are available to us. If we're creating smart products, we don't have to design our own chipsets anymore. We can buy off-the-shelf components. We don't have to build our own factories anymore. We can outsource manufacturing through sites like Alibaba. We can raise funding through sites like Kickstarter. We can leverage e-commerce sites like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and others. And of course, we pretty much have unlimited access to compute and storage capacity through services like Amazon, etc. And so for me, it's really no accident that with all of these tools and technologies available to us today, what we're seeing is a rise in the maker culture, a rise in the maker movement. How we take that idea we've got and we turn it into reality is really being democratized. I mean, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to have gone to the right schools. You don't have to know the right people anymore. Any one of us could really be anything we want these days. We can be publishers, we can be designers, we can be entrepreneurs, we can be manufacturers. Really, everybody can be a maker. And I really do use this term in the broadest sense. I don't mean people who tinker around in their garages with robotics and 3D printing. I mean all of you guys, anyone who has an idea they want to make happen. Anyone who wants to build a product, anyone who has something that they want to achieve or do. And I think with all of these tools and technologies available to us today, the question really shifts, right? It shifts from like, well, how do I do that? How do I build that? How do I make that happen? To really, what do I want to do? With all of this innovation around me, what do I want to do with it? What sort of world do I want to create? So along those lines, we just want to play a quick video that talks about the sort of world that we'd like to help create.
Like your hair's on fire, thoughts running fast like a man on a wire. Can't stop laughing but I don't know why. I don't know why, nobody knows why. Shouldn't wait for the weather to change. Every day from here on I got the top down, strap on your shoulder, running down you like an ice cream cone. We're not alone, never gonna be alone. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. The sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. Mind exciting, what's your meaning? Don't understand what the sea is in me. Music so loud and it keeps repeating. Never gonna go home. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. The sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. Best days of our lives. Best days of our lives. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. Sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. Never gonna be alone. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night, and the sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. The best days of our lives. The best days of our lives.
So there's a couple of things I actually like about that video. One is it doesn't paint the future like it's a science fiction movie, you know, all clean and shiny. I mean, the future is going to look a lot like today, just maybe a little different. But I really hope there's not more technology just for technology's sake. I mean, technology really just needs to make our lives better. That's what we should be using technology for, to make us more productive, to help us be more creative, or just to spend more time with the people we love. And the other thing I think that I'm noticing, I'm sure you all are as well, is that our physical and our digital worlds, they're becoming a lot more intertwined. I mean, the lines between the two really are blurring. And at HP, we call that blended reality, the fusing of our physical and digital worlds to create better experiences for people. And we see that all around us today, right? We see it in the devices we wear that measure our physical health, how that translates into a digital representation and is used to make recommendations on changes in our diet or our exercise routine, letting us live a healthier life in the physical world. Or we see it in the Internet of Things around us, the sensing of our environment, all of that data that's streaming in that we can then analyze in the digital world. and then act back on the physical world, whether that's controlling the lighting and heating automatically in a room or managing our energy grid. I mean, we see it everywhere. And there's a couple of key trends that I think are driving us towards this, right? One I call hypermobility. The shift of devices from devices we carry to devices we wear, and soon maybe devices will become part of us. And I mentioned the Internet of Things already, right? Technology is being infused in the everyday objects and devices around us. Or smart machines, as those devices and things get more intelligent, as they become infused with machine learning and AI, they become smarter. In some cases, they sprout wings and grow legs and end up being self-driving cars, drones, and robots. But the one I'd like to talk more about today is something that we call 3D transformation. And 3D transformation is a lot more than 3D printing. It's the digitization of the end-to-end manufacturing process. Everything from designing a physical product or thing to producing it in our factories or in our homes. Now, on the front end of this process, I think we need much more intuitive, easy-to-use design tools that anybody can use to take a physical object, to scan it in, and then to be able to upload it, to protect it, to customize it, to share it, to publish it, to sell it. And then finally to be able to take the result of all of that and bring it back into the physical world through 3D printing. So 3D transformation is that end-to-end process from idea and imagination through to final printed product. So here's an example of what I mean by an easy-to-use front end.
My job can be really stressful. In what little spare time that I have, I like to play music. When I'm playing, everything else melts away. It has a very calming effect. Talking to these kids and having conversations, trying to connect with them, I like to kind of put them in that spot as well, to just let them know that they're going to be all right. A lot of times I just try to find things that I have in common with them. Hey, did you see the latest superhero movie? What'd you think about that? Things that you like to do for fun. Keep them happy and focused on that as opposed to what they're coming into the office for. First thing I discovered on SPA was the 3D camera. I was like, this is just so cool. I really wanted to see what I could do with it. I loved watching the computer work, taking the 3D scan of the object. I'd never seen anything like that. The Intel RealSense technology let me capture a 3D scan that you can move around and resize easily. Right now, I'm designing a prototype that could go right on top of a child's cast. Okay, check this out. You're gonna love this. You're gonna be a total superhero. I thought this was a really cool idea because I wanted to make it customizable for him. I think making an idea into something real can help the child forget about their fears. That's a pretty great feeling.
All right, so now let's turn our attention to the back end of this process, the 3D printing part. So about a year ago, HP introduced a new 3D printing technology that we call Multijet Fusion. And the cool thing about Multijet Fusion is that you can actually change the properties of the materials that you're printing at a near molecular level, right? So now in the 2D world, you're familiar with the concept of a pixel. You know, when you print something out on a piece of paper, you can control the color at a pixel level. Now in the 3D world, the equivalent is called a voxel, a volumetric pixel, or think of it like a 3D pixel. And what Multijet Fusion can do is it allows you to control the properties of the materials that's being printed at a voxel level. Now the cool thing is because we can print 300 million voxels per second at about a 21 micron pitch accuracy, which is about a quarter of the width of a human hair, this really does raise some very cool possibilities. So for example, in the future, when we print a 3D product, we can control the color at a voxel level, at a very minute level. It can be smooth or it can be rough. We can change the translucency. It can be opaque or it can be see-through. It can be solid or it can be rubbery. And we can even print electronics. And in the future, hopefully we can even change the materials being used. Not just plastics, but ceramics and metals as well. And when you step back and think about this, if you put these easy-to-use design and creation tools on the front end that anybody can use, in essence, if you can democratize the design process, and you couple those with these 3D printing technologies on the back end, where you can democratize the production process, you're going to be able to do things that we haven't been able to do before. It's going to be transformational. We're going to be able to create products that we haven't been able to manufacture yet. Fully functional products that have electronics embedded in them, and that hopefully at one day in the future might look something like this.
HP's 3D printing technology enables the world to realize the full potential of 3D printing in fully functional parts. HP functional agents could control texture, friction, strength, elasticity, electrical properties, thermal properties, and more. Imagine a single part with stiffness optimized in some areas, elasticity in others, or wear resistance and friction customized where needed. Or imagine printing a complete electromechanical module in a single 3D build without requiring further assembly. The list of future possibilities seems endless.
So I also just think that we're just at the beginning of all of this, right? I mean, technology is changing so rapidly. It improves exponentially. There's always new technologies coming in from left field. And as makers, I think we're just at the start of being able to do some amazing things moving forward. And there's already research and investment in new areas that are emerging as well. For example, 4D printing. I don't know if any of you have heard of 4D printing yet, but it's taking 3D printing and using smart materials. So it will allow you to 3D print a product or a part which can then change shape over time based on the environment or other external triggers.
Fair enough.
Haptic holography not only allows us to look at virtual objects in our physical world, but it will also allow us to touch them, to feel them, to physically interact with them as well. These are just a couple of the things on the short-term horizon. But then we come back to the beginning, to the lemonade stand. You know, and I can't help reflect that, you know, and I remember this when I was a kid, someone would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And it's interesting as a kid that you might say you want to be an engineer, you want to be a millionaire, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a doctor. It really doesn't matter. But as a kid, you don't start thinking, wow, how am I going to do that? That's too hard. I don't think I can. Whatever you say that you want to do, at that point in time, you believe you really can do that. And I honestly think as adults, sometimes we just forget that But all of the tools and technologies and innovation and resources that we have at our disposal today, the question really isn't how we become a doctor or an engineer or how we do whatever we want to do. It's what do we want to do? What sort of world do we want to create? But the really coolest thing for me, anyway, is just remembering that the future hasn't happened yet, right? We all get to create it at this point forward, everything we do as part of creating that future. So anyway, I look forward to seeing what all of you guys do to create the most compelling future possible. Thank you.